Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler, and tonight's presentation is titled Heat and Tropical Trouble. Been very muggy lately across southeast Virginia. Very humid. Dew points 75, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, making things feel very uncomfortable outside. A lot of heat in the atmosphere as well. Temperatures have been hovering around 90 degrees for high temperatures the last couple days. We have had some scattered thunderstorms in the area, but those have not lasted all that long. Today, the coverage of those thunderstorms was much more isolated. All right, so let's take a look at things here on September the 2nd. We're now in the new month of September. Current conditions, on the left here, I'm showing you a satellite image, infrared satellite image. All those little white dots there indicate areas of thunderstorms. So you can see how tropical the air is right now. All those little areas, those bright white clusters or clouds on the satellite image are thunderstorms. So not so widespread today. The thunderstorms were much more widespread yesterday on the September the 2nd. Overall, though, what we're looking at is in the area tonight, we're very muggy still. We have dew points 74 to 76, Richmond 75 degrees Fahrenheit. In the Norfolk area, 74 degrees Fahrenheit dew points, with air temperatures generally about 80 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, even at 9 p.m., 9 o'clock at night here on September the 2nd, 2018. Very muggy night. Very light winds as well. Now looking ahead now, what about the forecast for your Labor Day, Monday, September 3rd? Got any outdoor plans? We're showing generally on the left here of every particular slide, I'm going to show you the jet stream again. I'm also going to show you the upper level pattern on the left hand side. On the right hand side, I'm showing you a image of some surface pressure features, where the rain is in the green colors there, and so we'll go from there. All images are courtesy of Unisys Weather as well as Tropical Tidbits. I will say that. Thank you to those organizations. All right, so on the left for tomorrow, the upper level winds at 30,000 feet, the jet stream winds. These are the winds that control and influence the steering of our weather systems. Generally what we're looking at is a pattern in which we have a upper level high. An upper level high is situated over the eastern seaboard tomorrow for Labor Day. We're not expecting much in the way of thunderstorm activity for your festivities on Labor Day. If you have any cookout plans, stuff like that. At the surface on the right hand side, there's a 1026 millibar high pressure system situated over western Virginia. So both features support themselves. The main jet axis is up along the northern U.S. and Canadian border for tomorrow on Labor Day. So all the cool temperatures are going to remain well to the north over Canada. We will continue to remain very warm and muggy here in southeast Virginia. Moving ahead now to Tuesday, September 4th. Most of you heading back to work and back to first day of school in the Hampton Roads area. Generally, the upper level pattern on the left-hand side remains fairly consistent from Monday, not much change. We have an upper level high pressure system situated over the eastern seaboard. Again, not much in the way of rainfall either tomorrow, Labor Day the 3rd, or Tuesday, September 4th as you go back to work and those kids go to that bus stop for the first time this school year. Generally, high pressure in control. The main jet axis remains fairly much situated in a west-east pattern along the southern Canadian area. So again, the coolest temperatures will remain well to the north in Canada. Hot and humid weather continues for southeast Virginia. Wednesday, September 5th, 2018, again, not much in the way of change. That upper level high is being persistent. It's being stubborn. It doesn't want to move out of the way. So generally, there's a ridge building from the Gulf Coast states up into the New England states. Now, there may be a tropical system, and I did not mention that here. If you happen to be traveling down towards the Gulf Coast states, there may be a tropical system that may develop in the Gulf of Mexico area over the next 12 to 24 hours. It's a high investigation area right now, highly likely for development. Good possibility it will either form into a depression or a tropical storm as it makes landfall somewhere around eastern Louisiana on Tuesday, September 4th. So it could be a lot of heavier rain coming up for the Gulf Coast states. I did want to mention that because that is a possibility. Getting back to our local weather here in southeast Virginia, again, upper level high pressure. Very little in the way of thunderstorm activity on Wednesday. There could be a couple isolated thunderstorms popping up, but the atmospheric conditions not so favorable. Now look in the Midwest on Wednesday the 5th. There's an area of rainfall from Wisconsin down into eastern Iowa, all the way down into Kansas, represented by the green areas. That is the next cold front that's trying. It's trying so hard to make it to the East Coast, but guess what? It's having a hard time because of that upper level ridge, which is just situated over the eastern U.S. On a Thursday, September 6th, that forecast for this Thursday, again, that ridge becomes elongated a little bit more, southwest and northeast. Jet stream, again, remains well to the north over southern Canada into just skirting the New England states on Thursday. Some scattered showers and thunderstorms cannot be ruled out for Thursday for southeast Virginia. But as a whole, again, it's just looking like it's a very similar pattern for this week, upcoming week for southeast Virginia. Friday, the September 7th, again, that jet stream remains well to the north. No changes. We're really not going to have much in the way of any cold frontal passages or any major air mass changes. I know everybody's getting excited. It's football season again. You want a little bit of chillier weather. It's just not going to happen this first full week of September, but hang in there. It will come. All right, Saturday, September 8th, going into next week, speaking of football, now we're going to start talking about NFL kicking off. We just had the college football kickoff this past weekend. Now we're going to be heading into the NFL season next weekend, game one for a lot of teams. For Saturday, next Saturday, September 8th, there is an area of scattered showers and thunderstorms for southeast Virginia. At that point, we do have a strong 1032 millibar high situated over eastern Canada that's trying to push some cooler maritime polar air from the northeast. However, it's going to have an issue because, again, that ridge down to the south is kind of not allowing that front to really make much inroads. A lot of rain shower activity over the Midwest next Saturday. Moving on to Sunday, what about the Andrew weekend? Get those tailgates ready. Tailgating, week one NFL. There's a look across the United States as a whole. It's fairly dry. Area of low pressure there along Lake Huron into the lower peninsula of Michigan. And there's an area of rain, New York State, western Pennsylvania, Ohio, all the way down into Arkansas, into northeast Texas. Some scattered showers and thunderstorms for southeast Virginia. The jet stream, again, remains pretty much zonal. What I mean by zonal is west to east across the United States. Not much in the way of temperature pattern changes for southeast Virginia. On to looking longer range, September 10th. We're on to September 10th, the following Monday, a week from tomorrow, from Labor Day. We do have a little bit more in the way of troughing, if you've noticed, a little more dipping in the jet stream over the Midwestern United States. That ridge is somewhat breaking down at this point, which will be good news. Maybe we can get a little bit of a cold front to come through here somewhere around the 11th or 12th of September, and maybe cool the temperatures down somewhat, at least drop that humidity to a little bit more bearable levels. Moving into September 11th, okay? I do show the 300 millibar jet stream winds on the left, and on this particular slide, I'm showing you the temperatures at 5,000 feet. I'd like to look at this to see where the hottest temperatures are by next Tuesday, September 11th. You'll see a little bit of a dip. See that bluer shading over the eastern United States in the greens. The greens and the blues are cooler temperatures, which may be allowed to get down here into southeast Virginia. There is more of a troughing pattern from a little dip in the jet stream from the Dakotas down into Illinois. And generally, we're still in southwesterly wind flow aloft at 300 millibars at 30,000 feet. So we may see a little bit of a slight cool down. Nothing major. So we'll just have to keep watching the pattern to see if any changes occur. Looking at the tropics, they are becoming more active. This reminds me, the peak of hurricane season for the Atlantic Basin is September the 11th. So that is coming right around the corner rather quickly. Look on the left here from the National Hurricane Center. These are the latest either investigation areas or actual active storms that are out there in the Atlantic Basin. If you look to the southeast of Florida there, around the Bahamas area, just north of Cuba, that red X, it says 7 above it. that is a possible tropical cyclone development area. That's going to be the system that may move into the Gulf of Mexico, make landfall into Louisiana, produce a lot of heavy rains. We're looking at 3 to 5 to 7 inches of rain, depending on the speed of movement as this thing comes into southeastern Louisiana by Tuesday the 4th. It's something we got to keep an eye on, because even the weakest tropical systems can result in some catastrophic flooding, especially if there's a slow rate of movement of those systems. Further out in the Atlantic, we have Tropical Storm Florence, and then there's a little yellow X there off of Africa, and that's another area that has to be watched. It has less than a 40% chance of development per the Hurricane Center. Still got to keep an eye on things. Now look at the satellite image on the right. The red colors indicate colder cloud tops. So you do see Florence. Florence is generally indicated there. And then there's another disturbance, that the yellow X there off the coast of Africa, a little bit further to the east. Now, things get interesting. They could get interesting. Not trying to sound any alarms at this point, but the American GFS model, there's a possible tropical threat somewhere between the September 11th and a little bit beyond that. Way too early to tell what's going to happen with this system. This is Florence as it moves across. Tropical Storm Florence is expected to intensify. Now, where does it go depends on the position of the high pressure system known as a Bermuda High that sits over the Atlantic Ocean. Clockwise flow around that high will generally steer tropical systems. In addition, will there be a cold front that comes off the east coast at this time? That will usually result in steering a hurricane. It'll recurve back out to sea, and it won't impact any land masses. We have to keep an eye on this. This is the GFS model for the 11th and 12th of September. You can see in the right image there on the 12th, that tropical system, Florence, Hurricane Florence, gets a little bit closer, so we got to keep an eye on it. This is the European model by comparison. Now, the European model goes out about 240 hours. Okay, it's about 10 days, and I have the 11th and 12th for the European model, 11th on the left and the 12th on the right. Now, the European model brings Florence a little bit closer, little bit too close for comfort there on the 12th. So that's something we got to keep a close eye on. At Spot On Weather, we'll be keeping our eyes out. Tropics are becoming more active. We've had a very quiet beginning of the hurricane season. Keep in mind, hurricane season runs all the way to November 30th. We've had some pretty big storms September and October, so don't count the tropics out yet. There's still plenty of time left for things to get going. And then here are the final thoughts tonight for Spot On Weather. No major cool downs are in store over the next 7 days. I know all you fall aficionados, you fall fans, you're ready. Football's begun. You are pumped up. You are excited. You want some cooler fall-like temperatures. Not going to happen the first full week of September. We're expecting high temperatures between 85 and 90 degrees each day, and low temperatures between 70 and 75 degrees each day. And the humidity is going to be still there, still going to be very muggy. So just keep that in mind. We expect isolated to scattered thunderstorms. Again, the high humidity, the high dew points, muggy, nasty. Go outside and you're sweating before you know it. We are watching the tropics closely. There's a possible hurricane threat between 11 and 14 September for the East Coast. Now that's after the little tropical system we're watching around the Bahamas area right now. That's the first one that's got to be watched closely for heavy rain, and just how intense, how much time does that system have to go over the water, over the Gulf of Mexico before it goes into Louisiana. Most models pointing at landfall in Louisiana on Tuesday the 4th of September. Just got to keep an eye on that. But there's a bigger possible threat, folks, on the East Coast between 11 and 14 September. We have to keep an eye on it. Now, again, it's pretty far out in time, plenty of time to keep an eye on things. Still, we'll have to keep an eye out on that situation. The main jet stream remains well to the north over the northern tier of the United States and southern Canada. No major pattern changes for temperatures expected. No strong cool front yet. Bear with me. We're heading towards the autumnal equinox, and eventually we will get cooler. Stay tuned for the latest updates from Spot On Weather. We are so happy. We're heading into the fall season. This starts getting more active. Possibilities there of El Nino this winter. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. Hoping to get the winter forecast out here within the next few weeks. Definitely, hopefully by early October, we'll get that winter forecast out. I know you're just chomping at the bit to figure out what the winter is going to bring for Southeast Virginia. We've had a couple whopper winter storms the last 2 winters. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm looking at a bunch of different factors in the forecast. All right, that wraps things up tonight. Spot on weather. Remember, if we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. I wish everybody a great Labor Day weekend. Take care, be safe, and that is all from Spot on Weather.